Welcome back to the Dare to Dream podcast. This is episode number 100, and my name is Gregory Russell Benedict.
I am Vincent Van Patten.
And this is a podcast about challenging you to embark on the adventure of your life. How did we make it
Yes.
here?
No clue, bud. No clue. But I truly cannot believe it. Let's think about where we started this thing. In the dojo, San Diego, 2 years ago.
2 years ago, but we actually started it before then because I have
Mm.
two files on my computer that I've been trying to permanently delete. One is from our very first podcast call. I was up in Oregon and it was a Zoom with no video, just audio. And I was so nervous.
Okay, it's all coming. Yeah, I was in my apartment in West LA. I was 28 years old. It was 40 years ago. Not just kidding. Yeah, I remember that. Oh man, incredible. And then we moved to my mom's house, but what a journey. 100 episodes. And it's just the
100
beginning.
episodes.
It's gonna feel like I'm gonna look back at this and be like, I remember episode 100. What were we doing?
Wow.
Think about
Yeah,
what's
we
brought us here.
we did I remember you were in LA and I was down here. You hadn't moved here yet. And we recorded a couple up at your mom's house on the road. We just used a
Mm,
phone on the table. We didn't have any mics or anything.
it's been incredible. So this episode is gonna be some of the biggest lessons that we have learned on this fascinating journey that we have embarked on. And it has been such a learning experience every step of the way, honestly. I mean, we've learned things just to forget them. We've forgotten things and learned them again. We've probably said the same three things over and over in different ways to get to
Yes.
this 100th episode. But that's the stuff that's important to us. So we're going to keep harping on it until it makes more sense. Because we clearly haven't figured it out.
We're gonna keep harping on it until either we get it through our thick skulls or we drop dead. One of the two.
Whatever comes first. Whatever comes first. But I think the first one that we are both having some strong opinions on is you were just telling me, why don't you bring us into that story?
You bring us in because I say a lot of things and I don't know what you're
Okay,
talking about.
great. Well, just knowing what you want,
Mm,
knowing what you want. So Naval Ravikant says in his almanac, the hardest thing is not doing what you want. It is knowing what you want. And if I have learned anything from coming to Japan to teach English, it, well, it's not really a very concise thing. It's just I've explored, I've been constantly just thinking about what I truly want out of this whole experience of life. Not even just being here in Japan, but like what actually will make me happy? What sort of lifestyle am I going for? Why do I want money? What am I working for? What does success mean? All the big questions just culminating into one experience of life that I'm going for. It's just what do you want? And obviously there's so many different forces at play there, and just outside, forces telling us what we should want, what really makes you successful, what other people see you as, and just trying to clarify what actually I am doing it for, because it's complicated. Like it's not so much just saying like, oh, I know what I want. And well, obviously this is what Naval's saying. The hardest thing is knowing what you want. Because in one sense, I want the traditional success of making money, of being able to have a enjoyable life in kind of a grander scale. And I know that's going to take lots of work and everything, but also just I think what I ultimately want money for is the freedom to do what I actually want to do. Like if I have that, I can't imagine anything more important at this early stage of my life, of if I can do the things that I'm doing in my downtime full time on a grander scale, I guess I need money for that. So that really is, and that's why it's complicated, because that is traditional success in a way. It's like I need to make more money, and not against making money by any means. It's a means of opportunity and a vehicle for freedom. And but just realizing that that is really what I am doing it for. And what we were just talking about before this is just realizing that I am not not a 9 to 5er. Like I will do jobs, I always have, and that's what I'm doing now. But like the times where I'm stressed to get to work because like I'm not gonna clock in on time, just so I have to wait 30 minutes just sitting around doing nothing before like a class begins. Yet I would get like docked pay because I didn't clock in within 20 seconds. I'm like, what is really going on here? And like it's being a slave in some way. And it's having to determine what you have to wear just to keep up. But I don't know. I'm also getting into the whole underbelly of it all. It's great in many ways, but I understand that, a lot of times you have to do things you don't want to do in life. And it will take probably a lot of effort and doing the things that I don't want, maybe the 9 to 5, to get to that place ultimately. But I think knowing that that is my end goal makes it, I know my path, and that my North Star is getting to that freedom where I can focus. Like work to me will be doing the things that genuinely matter, working on this podcast, learning, spreading important messages, positivity, and like actually helping people to break free from these ideas and shackles. And writing, that is ultimately what I love to do. And I could get to a place where that is where I'm spending my creative, you know, prowess and energy, and the rest of life will just be purely to enjoy. And it's only if you're working in that sort of way, I feel like it could only just make you better because your energy is going, as into the best place it possibly can instead of being wasted, which so many of us are feeling like we're doing.
Yeah, man, it is hard to figure out what you want. And once you figure out what you want, that will change. And it's hard to know if the change is a little bit of the grass is always greener and you're getting impatient, or if it's an actual shift that's super important that you follow.
Mm-hmm.
And what's coming up for me is yesterday I had a quasi job interview. It wasn't as formal as an interview, but it was kind of the first step to see if I'd be a good fit for a position. And just the thought of going back into the corporate world terrified me. And it's not the type of work, it's not the amount of work, it's being told when to work and being on that schedule, just having someone else control what you wear, when you have to show up, that kind of a thing. And I'm listening to this fantastic podcast by Adam Grant on work and historically, like why we work the 40-hour work week. It used to be 80 hours, it was shortened. And there's so many cool instances in history where changes were made to the work week that were adopted industry wide that just have profound impacts on human flourishing and our behavior and our relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such an important thing to think about. And yet I'm getting into the work. We're falling into the work rabbit hole,
Yeah,
but
we are, but
knowing what you
it's
want to
important.
want, as Chris Williamson says, getting clear on that and like constantly redefining and revisiting it to know what you're aimed at is so
Mm-hmm.
important. Because even for me, it's like, okay, I want to be a really successful life coach. Like, what does that actually mean? And what is it that I'm aiming at? Is it a certain number of clients? Is it hiring people under me? Is it filling this amount of hours per week with coaching? Is it being able to work whenever I want? And so just getting clear on that is really important and really, really hard.
It is. It is. It is not, like you said, it's, it doesn't have to be, it'll always change too. Like, we started this podcast like pretty much having this conversation. Like we're quitting our corporate jobs, we're going into like this creative space, and we have bobbed and weaved throughout this whole process. And hopefully we always will. I think we always will because, you kind of have to. Like I said, you have to do things you don't want to do, but realizing that what we ultimately want is that freedom of creativity and expression, and working in the way that we want to work. Like what is work supposed to mean? It's behind you there in the big old plaque on your wall. Do the work. And like, is work supposed to be just this thing that you, yeah, again, we're going down the rabbit hole of it, but it's important for sure.
It
Like, is
needed
it
to come
supposed to
out.
be, it needed to come out. We've taken 100 episodes to have the same conversation in different parts of the world in a good
Really
way.
interesting, a really interesting piece from that podcast with Adam Grant is in the West, especially, we've conflated hard work with someone's moral virtue. And
Mm,
we've kind of said, if you work hard, that makes you a good person. Well, what if you don't work that hard, but you're incredible? And, work has air quotes here for the people listening, because caring for a child is probably, I mean, not probably, most definitely so much harder than sitting behind a laptop in a comfortable chair and clicking away on the keyboard. So that goes out the window. And you can't just say because someone puts in a lot of effort that makes them a good person. I mean, we've seen
mhm,
time and time again that there's people who work really hard and have terrible relationships. So
for sure. It's, I mean, this gets this down to the conundrum of what success is. Like, dude, I listened to Stephen Pressfield on Joe Rogan recently. Oh man, SP is my guy. So good. I
yes,
mean, he took this whole concept and really made it the backbone of his whole thing. Like, just we all have this beautiful river of creativity and expression that flows beneath us, and if we don't listen to that, and it probably will have to happen while we're working a job that we don't want to, like most of us do. But if we don't at least take the steps to tap into that river, it will diverge into a place of frustration and pain, and it'll take you places you don't want to go. But anyways, side note, they were talking about like just the people throughout history. Like, it's kind of a modern, I say modern, probably in the last, modern in the sense of like what we think of as modern, the modern world. I don't know, last hundreds of years, thousands even, like just civilizations and what work means. And but like before that, what were the most prized people in the camp? Were they the people that work again, air quotes, like worked the hardest, as farming and everything? Or were they the women or the men who were the healers and like care for the sick and the people that somebody came to when they had like their deepest troubles and problems, yet they didn't have, a job title that was neat and tidy, but they were the backbone and the glue of the whole operation. And like Stephen Pressfield talks about, he has like a woman friend who she's never really had a job. She's kind of had this, from the outside looking in, this cushy life, but underneath she's been the person that has helped him out of like life threatening situations like multiple times, because he knows he could always go to her no matter what. And she has like undoubtedly been that person for many people. She's the glue to like a family and to friendships, and just that person you can't define because they don't have a job title, and from the outside looking in, you can't see how successful they are, but within and just in the grand scheme of things, they're doing something much more vital, perhaps. So just, yeah, it's interesting of just what success really is. Like, is she a bigger success than the person who has the car and the golf cart
I
rolling
love that.
around?
I love that 100 episodes in, we're still asking the same questions. And
I think we
honestly, that's
always
how it
will.
should be.
Yes, exactly.
It's the keeping the 12 of your favorite problems front of mind and trying to
Mm,
answer them. And I think that leads, this whole discussion leads into one thing I learned along the way that I'm sure you did as well, that I'd love to share. And that is, if you wouldn't do it for free, don't even try to begin, because
mm,
you need to be passionate about the thing you're doing if you want any sort of success. If you wouldn't podcast for free, I wouldn't recommend getting into it. If you wouldn't coach people for free, you want to find the thing that is so inherently rewarding to you that you would do it for free. And because you love it that much, you're going to put in the time that is required to become a master of that craft. And that in turn is going to lead to you getting paid lots of money to do it. It's
yes.
not the put your head down and grind through it that's going to make you successful. That's necessary if you have the first box checked of loving it. Like, yes, there's going to be hard work. Yes, there's going to be pieces of it that suck. Every once in a while, you have to eat a shit sandwich, even in the thing you love, whether it's writing, whether it's podcasting, coaching, painting, working out. Like, there's always a part of it that sucks. But if you don't love it so much that you do it for free, I just don't see how you're going to overcome all of the resistance and all of the obstacles and all of the mistakes and failures you make along the way. What do you think of that?
I disagree wholeheartedly. No, I mean, I think all these rules, as we said, are just these topics are gonna just really snowball into one big avalanche of just what, because this is, I mean, talk about the same stuff, like exactly. So
And just quick note is that Vinny and I prepared these separately ahead of time. We haven't talked about them. And I know we're, at least I am, I'm coming in hot saying this is the way it is. Like, this is my ultimate truth. But I literally thought of these right before this episode. So hold everything
but
lightly.
yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, it's almost like better that just think of the things like just 30 minutes before, just because that's the stuff that's obviously top of mind. And I mean, yeah, that's one of my rules as well. Let's call them topics as well.
Topics.
Yes. So Chris Williamson, modern wisdom, one of our greatest inspirations, role models, says, it's been 4.5 years, approaching 5. I've never thought about stopping, ever. This is one of the wild things because I enjoyed it so much for so long and did it with basically nobody watching, getting a little bit of positive feedback, or a lot, 500,000 people. Now it's just encouraging me to do something I was already doing when nobody was watching. I never considered stopping. I love doing this. I enjoy having the conversations. And as the show grows, I get more opportunities to do different things. I can push the cultural conversations in different ways. I can give platforms to people that are amazing but haven't yet been discovered. Everything is getting better. So he just, I mean, think in the beginning that for hundreds of episodes, nobody was watching. And, we're in that same boat now of we made the decision that we're not stopping. Like we talked about it recently, even though we've tried. And the way to do that is definitely can't be done without loving the thing. Like with writing for 100%, it's, you're not gonna, like you said, put in the work, put in the effort, and they go hand in hand. That when you love the thing, you can't, something that we're learning for sure is you love it a lot, but you only do it when you feel inspired, or once every. This is pretty much what the war of art is about. It's like you have to, or put your ass where your heart wants to be. If you love the thing so much, you have to put your ass in the chair every day so the muses will visit you. They're not going to visit if you're there once every 2.5 months or when you feel inspired. If you actually want to, obviously that you do whatever you want, but if you want to make it your career or whatever, it's, you got to take the thing that you love more than anything else, and you will do for free, and put in, pretty much go pro at it. Treat it like it's your profession. And even when you're not making money, especially when you're not making money, put your ass in the chair and go to work. And that is the combination that will truly take you where you want to go.
So what if you don't know what that thing is that you're willing to devote all your time to?
Yeah, that is the great conundrum. It's tough, man. It is definitely tough. So many of us don't have any clue what that thing is. And like I said, I really came to writing because of what I was struggling with. And I think that is a great place to start, even. Like Jordan Peterson says, like, in your struggle is your destiny, pretty much. So many words, like the thing that you're grappling with. Clearly for us, it's, we can't work the 9 to 5. We have our time that we just feel like it's, you better suited elsewhere. We're grappling with, what is work supposed to mean? What is success supposed to mean? What is this modern kind of paradigm of work and career? It's like, is that really it? isn't there something more to all of this? Isn't there creative expression that we can tap into? Isn't that supposed to be like what we're supposed to be devoting our lives to, as opposed to this thing called work? And I think a great place to start is what you are struggling with. Do you see in society that you don't like? What is something that you are just grappling with, and start writing about it? Like, take some serious time to think about what you don't like about this world, and that is a great way to get creative expression out of you. And another great thing is to tap into what you loved as a kid, and that's
Mm.
tough to know too, but I think we all did love something. I all love something.
I knew Jordan Peterson would come up sooner rather than later. And
Oh yeah, let's get the elephant out from under the rug.
yeah, let's get him out here. I love what he says, and you already mentioned it, but it's find what irritates you to no end, the bane of your existence, that thing that really bothers you is actually the flip side of something that you value. The reason why we have pet peeves is because it's an action or a behavior that is violating one of our values. So if someone chewing with their mouth open really pisses you off, it's probably because you value beauty or cleanliness or grace. And that person over there chomping away is bothering you. So
It's just,
the things you love and the things that really bother you are two different sides to the same coin, I think.
yes. I think another great way is, like, at this point, I mean, we're doing what we're doing to stimulate our just intellectual curiosity. It's kind of a, you know, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, we are, and that's what figuring out what bothers you is. It's like, if you go down that rabbit hole, it will take you to what you're really interested in. Like, why did, I think I'm interested in like history and philosophy and stuff because I'm trying to learn about the best ways to live, like how to deal with pain, how to see beauty in the simple things, how to enjoy life and be the best person that you could be. And these things are like sincerely just interesting. Like, woke up at 5:30 this morning and started reading the essays of Montaigne because I'm like excited. And what I'm reading about is like how to educate children. Like, this is one of his essays. And I've written about him over the years and stuff. Like, there's a chapter about him in Heirs of Youth. I've never actually read the essays, like only read like, things about Montaigne. And like, the essays themselves are so interesting and like very readable. And pretty much he's talking about like how to educate children is how to pretty much, I mean, it's so good. So many things of like just knowledge for knowledge's sake is just like, don't, he's pretty much giving advice to this woman who's like asking, how do I find a tutor for my kid? And he just goes off the wagon with all this advice of like, don't find somebody who will just try to fill his head with facts to know. And, um, you know, this is when this happened in history. And this is stuff to know just to know it and like show how smart you are. Pretty much find somebody who will show them how to actually live, like from a young age, how to deal with pain. And it's pretty funny. He says like, philosophy is how to live the best life. Like, why are we not teaching kids like about philosophy from an early age? Instead, we're
Seriously.
forcing them to sit in chairs and learn about things they have no interest in, and won't use in their lives. Instead of like how to actually act in the real world, how to deal with adversity, how to think about what you even want to do with your lives. So, long story short, like, I'm doing this, I'm reading Montaigne and stuff because I'm just like, obviously it fires me up. It's like, it's inspiring, it's interesting, and that has, sent me down just this path of learning about what I want to do with my life, what success really means. And I think that is like, if you're finding a way to make that the focus of your life, like the thing that you will do for free, which could come from stimulating your intellectual curiosity, like it all will feed into each other until you're living in this universe of genuine interest. And at some point, this is what we're figuring out now, you'll find a way to sustain it and make money from it. And I guess that's part of the whole the whole scheme.
The scheme. All
The
right, you're up.
scheme.
What's next on your list?
Yeah, well, kind of talking about the same things, but one day in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. You know who said that?
It's from Shoe Dog.
Is it?
I think maybe it's not, but I'm thinking of the
Oh
scene with
wow.
Phil Knight and Billy Gates in the movie theater.
Yes. 100%. Well, okay. I'm glad you bring it up. So it's Sigmund Freud, but like I have right under that shoe dog lesson.
Mm,
We're on
beautiful.
the same page, bud. We're on the
In
same page.
sync.
Yes. So basically, it's well, I mean, just I have that as like my phone wallpaper now. Like it's just that the times that you like, you know, you're in pain, you're struggling, and you think that are like the hardest times that are really making you dig deep. Those are the times that you honestly miss once like you're kind of just at the point where you could coast and just everything is, and you're looking for the next thing. When you're in those years of struggle and the time of uncertainty and questioning, those are the times where you're so engrossed by life that it's like you can't even focus on other things because you're grappling with a great question of existence, or you're feeling pain yourself and you're figuring out how to get out of it. And that makes you look at other people's pain in a different way. And it's those are the times that you'll look back on and remember. And it's a lesson because these early stages where me and you are grappling with this podcast, you know, we've had moments of like, are we going to keep doing this thing? Like, why are we doing it? We're trying different paths and taking, you know, different steps and making us realize that it's just bringing us back to simplifying and doing it because we love it. And that's really the only way that we're going to continue doing it. Um, but yeah, so the shoe dog lesson, shoe dog is
You said that like you live in Japan.
shoe dog. Uh, it's he's looking back on pretty much. So yes, him and Bill Gates, two of like the richest people in the world. Warren Buffett might be there too. Just throw him in the mix. They're at a movie theater and like, you know, they're suburban town. And they get there, they're both with their wives. They just saw like Interstellar or something. I have no idea. But and they're just like chatting. They seem like the most like normal guys in the world. Probably are. Just like two old men. And Shudak himself, Phil Knight, goes home, kicks back in his recliner. He's sitting there and like looks over his to-do list. And, like for the first time in a long time, there's just nothing on it. It's probably dramatized, but it's just like wow, like, and he pines for the days of old when he was in the he was in the boiler room with his ragtag.
I knew you were gonna use that word. Boiler room. I love it.
He's in the boiler room with this ragtag group of misfits, and they're just trying to figure out a way to keep Nike from like going under, and they're scrambling. They're just so like deep in this thing, and are just, you know, their livelihood is on the line. That's what he misses so bad, like being young and having that fire and truly like going for something. And it was hard. Like those are the hardest days of his life, I'm sure, but they like got through it. That's what he misses when he's old and reflecting. And so looking back, these are the times to cherish.
It's so interesting. I'm curious why that is. Why, when we look back on our life, we derive the most value out of usually the hardest things we had to go through. And I mean, even if I'm looking at my list over here, it's like a lot of my lessons are seem to skew towards more of the negative. Like one of them is it's always going to take longer than you think. And we have had this on repeat with the podcast. It's like, oh, how hard can it be to record a 15-minute or 15-second audiogram? Like make this little snippet and post it on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then like 5 hours later, we're still trying to figure out how to do it.
They just throw it all down the drain.
And it always takes longer than you think it is going to. And that's why, I mean, I think a lot of mine are related. That's why you need to love what you're doing. You need to love the process. Otherwise, the minutia will destroy you. But
Yes.
really, it's like, yeah, why is it that it's so much fun to describe past suffering. Like it feels good. You can make light of it. You can be humorous about it, even if it was terrible. And I'm
Mm.
curious why that is.
I've been thinking about that a lot. So like the other day, I'm just on the train and I'm like, wow, like it was a just beautiful day, sunny day. Like it is. I don't have a toothache right now. That's pretty great. My head feels clear. Like my knees don't hurt. Like my body just like felt good. And when you're just in the absence of pain, just being just flatline normal is like the greatest thing ever. And maybe you can't appreciate the good without feeling the bad. Like you can't know how good just everyday life, mundane, existence is without going through something. And I've just been thinking about like why are like the people who have been through the most like the happiest people often who have like nothing? Why are the people who are given everything, everybody's going through their own thing, but like on the surface, why does it seem like why are the people who like kids grew up with money and um, don't have to work hard, uh, why do they kind of seem aimless? They don't really know what to do because they can do anything, and it's like you have so many opportunities, and you haven't actually had to, get deep into that world of like, what the hell am I going to do? How am I going to make money? What do I want to do with my life? Um, which is then it's like you go to drugs and alcohol and stuff because why not? Like, how can I get out of this comfortable, what do we call it once, like comfortable satiety or something, satiated by
Chasm of
comfort,
comfort.
chasm of comfort. It's you look for deeper things instead of like if you've been through the shit, just like life itself, you realize it's so just good on its own.
So
So
beautiful.
it's so good. And like the things worth, yeah, why are the things that make life worthwhile hard to get? Because then they're easy. Everybody could get them. But why is that? Why is that the case?
I don't have the answer to that, but I'm laughing and smiling over here because I know you're reading either Seneca or Montaigne if you're talking about being grateful for not having a toothache.
I've had some pretty bad toothaches. And let me tell you, when before I got a wisdom tooth pulled, I would just get like headaches all the time. And to have a toothache just sucks. Just like anything that, is painful. And to not have that, it's been wow. But yeah, just even modern day, like modern medicine. Like Montaigne had freaking kidney stones.
Ooh.
Like that was the most painful. You're pissing a rock. Like you have to push that through. That is unreal.
So
That
good.
hurts so bad. It did not have to. Oh man, not going to get into that, but it is
That's going on
truly.
my gratitude list tomorrow morning.
Don't have a kidney stone today. Eat healthy. Uh, but to be the absence of pain, the absence of suffering, is truly a gift. But yeah, why are the things worth getting in life? Take real effort. I think they do,
Mhm.
right? Some
I think we're
sense.
gonna leave that one to
The
the
gods.
audience to grapple with.
Yeah, yeah. The gods himself. But so basically it all comes back to those years of struggle and turmoil, and when you're really questioning and grappling, maybe you're in a rocky relationship and you're thinking about how it's going to work out. I mean, you don't have to cherish the rocky relationship, but like if you're going through something that's meaningful and deep and hard, those are the times you will miss. So truly just try to cherish them as much as you can and just be grateful.
We're ready for
Yep.
a more positive one.
Come on in.
Okay. This one is you have absolutely no idea how big of an impact you're having on other people. And there's so many different ways I could go with this, but what is top of mind is I recently had a discovery call with a potential client who referenced an Instagram post I made 2 years ago, over 2 years ago, when I quit my job. And he said, and he's in the Netherlands now. He was in his home country before that, which is halfway across the world. And he was like, when I read that, I felt like this was a post from my future self. like I felt like I wrote this and it aligned so much that I've been following your journey and we finally had a call and he's the man. But it's like you have no idea who's reading your stuff, what impact it's having, even as simple as saying hi to someone when you're walking on the street. Like you have no idea how huge that could be for them if they're having a really bad day. And man, it's like you don't know who you're impacting. And at the same time, you don't know what the actual impact is going to be on them. Like I remember when I posted that, most people didn't actually read the whole paragraph and they misinterpreted it and thought I was going to be traveling. And so your intended impact can be different than the perceived impact.
Mm.
And it's just so important, I think, to one, don't be disheartened when you create something, you put yourself out there, you show the true side of yourself. Don't be disheartened if you don't wake up the next day with a million followers and all of this material success. It's such a slow journey. And I'm grateful for that because you really get to learn all the lessons and become the person you're meant to be along the way. But it's also like, don't underestimate your impact on other people because it can be profound, both positive and negative.
Mm. I love it. I love it. Yeah, definitely many ways to take that there. It's first, what's coming up is definitely trying to get, yeah, better in a sense, but just the focus should not, if the focus of why you're doing this stuff is because of like, the impact you're making or the result, pretty much. You can't focus on the result. People, the greatest minds of history, didn't have their words read or their lessons interpreted or anything for hundreds, thousands of years. It takes time. You could say something today if you write it down that could impact future aliens in the year 3100. But anyways, in a real sense, like you have to do the thing that makes you intrinsically alive. You have to speak your truth and, speak your soul, and there will be somebody out there who will eventually connect with it. And it's not even like person to person. You just don't even know the cosmic riddle that you're unlocking when you're actually following your truth and pursuing what really makes you come alive inside. And I mean, yeah, we have had so many different, I mean, not, yeah, we've had a lot of people who've like really been impacted by stuff we're doing that we just could not have foreseen, didn't mean for it to happen. But just like, if obviously we all do this, like, you post something on Instagram, post something on Medium, and like you're just waiting for the results to come in, and like but like the stuff that I've been most proud of writing has usually been the stuff that like doesn't even get a response. Like it's I walk away
Crickets.
from it. Yeah, I walk away from it like, wow, I just unburdened my soul. Like I just like that felt really good to write. It's a message that feels good to me. And it's just like it's helping me. It's just helping me. Like it's helping me continue on this journey, like a little bit lighter, a little bit happier, with a slightly better understanding, maybe. And then if it does help somebody, that's great. But if it doesn't, that's okay too. Like you can't possibly imagine. And when you start to tailor the stuff that you're doing just for the results, you get away from what actually could make you successful, what actually is um, your authentic voice. And just a great quote from a man, Ralph Waldo Emerson. Happy is he who looks only into his own work to know if it will succeed, never into the Times or the public opinion, and who writes from the love of imparting certain thoughts, not from the necessity of sale, who writes always to the unknown friend.
Yeah, I really resonate with what you were sharing about sometimes the best article is the one where you go toe to toe with the monsters in your mind and you really figure out how you actually feel about something or you unload or unburden. And I really think the answer is in order to genuinely help other people, you have to be pretty selfish with what you pursue, because you need to do the things that you love so much that if you don't do them, it's going to destroy you. And in your love of doing that thing and being selfish and prioritizing that prioritizing that above the other things that people want you to do, that's when you have the truest impact and create good art. You make good art.
Make it I think Aubrey Marcus said, like, you will feed people with the water that overflows from your cup, not from like the cup itself. Like,
Absolutely.
you have to focus on, and that's been a huge lesson for, I think, both of us, focusing on how to say no more to things that aren't in line with our main priorities, like our focus. And just, I mean, yeah, I've learned just so much about simplifying as of late, just like really just trying to declutter my mind and my soul of things that are not serving my main purpose. And you have to be, yeah, you honestly do have to be selfish with like what it is that you are truly after, what impact you want to make, what you want to get done, because there's so much noise and everything. And when you're focusing on just the results of, where am I as a writer, like definitely the conundrum of where to be posting, which social media sites to be on and everything. It's like, you don't have to be on everything. Focus on one thing, do it well, instead of trying to do 10 things kind of well, just like keeping your head above water and trying to stay, ahead of the curve. It's like compound interest. Go deep into one thing, really focus on it, and it'll take time, but you have to be selfish in that pretty singular pursuit to really go deep, instead of, you know, dipping your hands and knees a bunch of different ponds that just like overwhelms you. And like, it's a simple life is just, ooh, I don't know how we got to that point, but it's what I need.
One last thing before we move on to your next point is
Don't have to.
a short quote
This is good.
from my coach. Shout out Valerie. No is a complete sentence. It's something I'm working on. It's so hard to say no to people. And even when you say no to people, at least I find that I'm usually adding in a secondary thing that's like, oh, I can't do it, but like maybe in the future, and yada yada, just nonsense. And that's what I'm working on, is learning to just say no and be okay with that. It's not my responsibility to deal with how the other person is responding to me not being able to do the thing that I don't want to do.
Definitely. I've been trying to get better at not telling like white lies of why I can't do the thing, and not apologizing. Like, I don't have to say, sorry, I can't do this. It's like, no, I can't do this because honestly, I just don't have time right now. I have, it's like, you don't
Can't
have to
do this because
apologize,
I hate you.
because I really just don't want to spend time together. You don't have to apologize, and don't lie about anything. Just don't. The truth.
The truth will set you free.
It's like a communist maxim. Yeah,
I think
it's
so.
yes, but honestly, just, you don't have to apologize. And like, we're both trying to be the best people we could be, trying to be like good people who are going out of our ways to help and talking to strangers and just kind of being, lights in this world. And it's hard to grapple with that, of like letting people down, expectations that other people have of us. Um, but a part of it is kind of focusing on like what is truly important. You can't, like we're saying, you can't quench people with, water from your own cup. If you're half full, you gotta focus on filling your cup up first, and the water that overflows will help them more. And it's not, Naval Ravikant says, it's not your job to make other people happy. Like, no matter what is going on, if you can't go out with somebody, if you can't live up to their expectation of you, that is not your priority. It's they Other people sometimes have like a idea of us in their heads, and if we let them down, in that sense of like not being this person that they think we are. It's not a problem, but it's a hard thing to grapple with for sure. Especially when you think that you think you think you're being a good person from like uh okay, I'll just, I'll go out with them, I'll see them, I'll call them. It's like it's not your job to make other people happy.
So true. And I'm smiling and laughing over here because similar to Spotify, I just got the notification this morning. It's like your year 2022 shows you all the
Podcast.
top songs. What I'm thinking of is the Dare to Dream podcast, 100 episodes in, our most used word has to
Grapple.
be grapple.
Grapple.
It's the best.
The great grapple. Do we consider calling this the great grapple?
Why didn't we go with that? I don't remember that. The great
It would
grappling.
really sum it
It's
up
just,
more.
it really sums up when you're wading through the existential soup and you're trying to stay above water and you're just questioning, what is the meaning of life? What am I supposed to do with my life? Who am I? And who do I want to become all at the same time? I think that's what
Grappling.
grappling means to me.
I can't tell you how many times I've tried to search another word besides grapple. Am I right? Like there's got to be another word, but I know I'm really grappling with this.
Wrestling
You got
with,
this problem in a headlock. You're just
yeah,
grappling with it.
wrestling isn't languish.
Wrestling,
I've been languishing. I don't know if that's the correct usage.
wrestling around.
Okay, what do you got next?
Yeah. Well, you know, all these ideas kind of come back to the same place, but discipline is destiny. Discipline is destiny. And obviously that is the title of Ryan Holiday's latest book, but it was an epic book and truly learned a lot from it. And pretty much that, in a sense, well, in a different sense, we're really not doing this to teach, right? Like we're not trying, like, we obviously don't have the answers by any means. And it's not like it's obviously it's our opinions. We're doing this to learn. Like it gets back to grappling. This is the things that we are trying to discover about life. And um we're pupils in a sense. So at the root of the word discipline, this is from Discipline is Destiny, is the Latin discipulus, or pupil. Discipline means to be a pupil to life, to be a student, and to be disciplined. Like disciplined in your pursuit of, like I was saying before, like the love of the thing and the discipline and being a student to it and always being open to learning more and more as you traverse in life must go hand in hand. It has to be a harmonious relationship, because like I mean it just gets back to like if we want to get out of this paradigm of work and doing things you don't want to do, it's you have to be disciplined to get to that point, which is not easy. But also from Discipline is Destiny, when you find what you are meant to do, you do it. When you find that thing, and we could get into more of like how to find that thing, but when you find it, it will tear at your soul not to do it. You do the thing and you treat it like a pro and you get after it. I'll get into it more, but what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are Bukowski, find
Mm,
what you love and let it kill you.
yeah.
What is the full quote? Let me find it here. Find what you love and let it kill you. Let it drain you of your all. Let it cling onto your back and weigh you down into eventual nothingness. Let it kill you and let it devour your remains. For all things will kill you, both slowly and fastly. But it's much better to be killed by a lover.
I'm just gonna piggyback on that. Discipline is destiny. We will taste pain on this journey. That is a fact. We will be given a million opportunities to stop and a million reasons why that's okay. But we can't, and it's not. We keep going. We put our butt in the chair. We will not be deterred. Yes. It's basically when you find that thing that makes life so meaningful and transcends making money, the the riches that you will get from it just far. I mean, what have we gotten from this podcast?
$5.
Like $5? Yeah. I'm saying, wow. I love that we both said that. But I would say like also like, what has it given us? It's it's you can't even put a dollar sign on it. Maybe a yen, but you can't quantify it. The people that have reached out and said that we have like truly impacted them, how it's brought us together, the things that we've grappled with, like it's I don't know, it's when you find the thing that gives meaning to life, it'll give you so much back if you pursue it actively and keep it top of mind and truly let it consume you in a way. And it's beautiful. It's just fun.
What's coming up for me is a lot of people have a negative connotation when they hear the word discipline. It feels
Mhm.
very heavy and dark, and it's whipping yourself to do the thing you don't want to do. I think that discipline is the ultimate form of love, of self-love. It's doing the things that you need to do in order to prioritize what you love so that you can ultimately have the greatest impact. It's if you want to write, sitting down, getting your ass in the chair so you can write every single day so you can continue to do the thing you love. It's a very loving act, but it's a delayed gratification of that. Whereas
Mhm.
you could say that housing a tub of cookie dough is a loving act because you get that short-term pleasure, but long-term, it's not very loving because you're going to end up fat and miserable. Not with cookie dough. Cookie dough is great, but you know what I'm saying? It's like changing how you view discipline as actually discipline's the opportunity to get to do the thing you want to do for the rest of your life.
Yes, so many ways you can take that one. It's, I mean, like our latest podcast or 2 episodes ago, it's how do I know I'm making progress? Says Seneca. I've become a better friend to myself. That is discipline. Discipline is not, yeah, it's honestly, in my past, one of my biggest challenges is like discipline in the sense of I have to eat clean perfectly, I have to work out. It's in a sense, yeah, you're punishing yourself. That is not what discipline should be. Discipline is realizing that life is so good that you want to give everything back to it. And to get the best out of life, you have to be disciplined in a sense. And what I love, like what we mentioned in that episode, Ryan Holiday, he says, more
Mm-hmm.
often than not, I'm doing the thing. If I fall off the wagon, if I don't write for a couple of days, every 2 months, whatever, that's okay. More often than not, I'm doing the thing because I know that I will be the happiest, I'll be the best to others, I'll be the most clear headed when I am doing the thing that really lights me up. And, but yeah, if you are, if it is affecting your life in a negative way, if you are viewing discipline as I have to be like, I have to do this, I can't, because we take it to extremes. I think it's a pretty universal thing. It's much harder to be temperate and kind of do things in the middle, finding the balance, than going from extreme to extreme. Like it's 100% my personal story of like just finding. You could summarize my life. It's trying to find a balance atmosphere. Uh, I'm just trying to find a balance between it all, but it is not easy. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we need to go one extreme to the other and vacillate a bit, but it really is being the kindest to yourself, because when you do fall down, as we all do and will, a friend will pick you back up and say you're doing great, let's keep going, it's not that big of a deal. Like, it's being the kindest to yourself and honoring life.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if you make a mistake. What matters is how you act in the seconds or minutes or hours following that mistake.
Mm.
And this is how in my own head I was thinking about this earlier today. What if that was the metric that you were measured on at the end of life? Is not what you achieved, what you accomplished. It was how kind you were to yourself and other people in the moments of chaos.
Wow, that is incredible.
It's like we don't know. It could be.
It could be.
Who's to say that a general output and how much work you get done is more important than how your relationship is with yourself and with others. And it's in that making the mistake and going through the hard things. I think I'm actually connecting it back to why we value the hard things so much, is because that's when we grow and when our true character gets revealed. And
Yes.
usually that's good. We usually become better in growth. And maybe that's why if you have a stressor and you make it through and you become better, we look back on it as positive. If you have a stressor and it really negatively impacts you for the rest of your life, it becomes trauma. Maybe that's the distinction.
100%. Yeah, the people that, I mean, yeah, another Naval Ravikant thing, but he pretty much says like, like you don't want to be the one who gets to success, traditional success, by throwing his family under the bus, not having a good relationship with his kids, being known like notoriously. You want to be the one who everybody looked to in the times of trouble as poised and composed and peaceful. And you still got there with the right answer and you kept everything in check. Like that shows who you really are in the times of trouble that life undoubtedly brings. How will you respond? Like, how will you respond to yourself falling off the wagon and not doing the things that you fully align with? And it's just all part of the journey. But that's a great concept. What if we are judged by the time, like those intermediate moments between the falling and the victory of how will you stand back up? Will you bring others up along the way? Even when you're down, will you help others get back up? Will you do the best? Like that is your character. That is your true, I think, inner character. Is times are tough. Who are you?
Who are you when you're in the mud?
When you're in the mud, wading around in the mud. Yeah, for sure. I think that is a great point. That is why we do value the thing about the hero's journey. Like the hero's journey is so impactful, and it's like something I think about a lot. Kid Cudi says in song Love, all of the stories the hero gets lonely. Now is the time to show him what you're made of. Mm. It's like,
Mm.
when are you going to show them what you're made of? When you're on top of the, well, that is another point, to show them what you're made of. When you're on top of the world and everything is good, how will you respond? Will you still be disciplined and doing what you think is genuinely right, or will you let that get the best of you? The other side of it is when you're down and you're in the unknown, as the hero is, and nothing's going right. You're at your lowest low. Where will you find the light? Where you seek it in yourself, and will you bring it back to the known world a better person? It's a classic example, because that's why we value the struggle and going out there to find that thing. It's because that is what takes you to that next step of the journey.
I've got to throw in one of my favorite quotes by Seneca here. Where you arrive does not matter so much as what sort of person you are when you arrive there.
Mm, yes, that is it. And that's the journey of life.
That's it. It's the name of the game.
Name of the game, where you arrive at the end of it all. If you have the money, success, the Rolls Royce, doesn't matter as much as how you got there. Oh man, I got another one. Did you ever read, I don't think you did, but did you listen to the Scott Galloway Modern Wisdom?
Oh, you mean the episode I sent you?
No, that's not it.
Your other best friend got it.
Yeah, it sent it to me. Uh The Algebra of Happiness. I read his book after that because that episode is really good. Or I'd listen to it. Yeah, it is so good. And he says, hold on one sec. So he pretty much, as a young man, he was the poster boy of like the thing that we're trying not to be, and kind of, grappling with ourselves. But he thought that, he's working in finance and New York City, hustle bustle, work, like slept in his office every day, the whole thing, because he wanted girls. He wanted, he was going out with models and at the bottle service at the club and everything. just being seen with all the right people, doing all that stuff. And he was just, something was definitely missing. It's like, what? Like, what am I doing this for? Um, what actually brings like meaning, and I want to find out what actually brought happiness in life. And he says, we have, there's a long way to go. My old insecurities die hard. So he's talking about, he's pretty much saying that in his life, he could have done kind of better, but he's kind of realizing this stuff at his age, which is better than nothing for sure. But we all have good intentions that don't lead to action. We have an even greater reservoir of admiration and good thoughts about others that can get caught in the filters of insecurity and fear. To not let that dam burst is to cut life short and shortchange joy. There's so few absolutes. One of them, nobody ever says at a funeral, he was too generous, too kind, and much too loving. Nobody, ever. Basically, he's saying like the saddest thing in the world is to be the rich person who's died and there's nobody at the funeral, and like probably happens more often than not, that we're aware of. You're pretty much judged by who was there at your funeral in life, like whose life did you impact, who loved you and would truly miss you when you're gone, whose life did you change along the way. I think about my own grandpa Dickie. Like his funeral was really a celebration of life. It was a party, like on the tennis court in the valley. It's like hundreds of people were there, like big tent. It was just so many people wanted to come and celebrate somebody who brought so much joy to people's lives, and I'll never forget that. Like it was a celebration of a truly impactful life instead of the opposite.
That's
Because he
the
just
only
loved
thing
to
that
live.
matters at the end.
uh, it's love. It is love.
And I really like what Scott Galloway says, in that you can't have a dam in place that's blocking all of the compliments and the generosity and the nice things that you want to tell people and share. Like the more you can get that out and ignore your ego telling you that what you're sharing might be weird, or you might be, being strange, just say the thing, pay the stranger a compliment. It's always the right decision.
For sure. Yeah, I'm struggling with it. It's tough. I keep getting in my own head. I'm like, they probably don't even the Japanese, they probably don't speak English in the first place. It's always on
Better
the train. Yeah, seriously. I gotta just lean into it. Lean into it. But
lean in.
at least we're thinking about it. That's good. Good place to start. But yeah, back to the discipline thing. It's like definitely one of the biggest lessons, and this podcast coming out about it, but just the continuous improvement. Another thing with discipline is destiny is, since the Japanese word for this is kaizen. You of course know about this, Greg. Continual improvement, always finding something to work on, to make a little progress on, never being satisfied, always looking to grow. Revolution, transformation, that's what amateurs chase. The pros are after evolution. Evolution takes time. It takes slow chipping away at something important, instead of, overnight success, instead of this all has to happen now and on my timetable. Like the things that are supposed to happen will, I think, at some point where we don't expect it, but all we can focus on, all we really have control over, is the slow chipping away.
That resonates. That was one I wanted to include in here that I didn't, is that all of your dreams are coming true, just not on the time horizon or time scale that you anticipated. If you live from your heart, if you work hard, if you are a kind person, everything you want is eventually going to happen if you stick with it. But probably a lot later than you wanted. That's at
Yeah,
least been my experience. Things will come true like 5, even 10 years later. I'm like, wow, this is where I am right now. was once what I dreamed about. And so if I'm having a bad day, no matter what I do in that day, just realizing, wow, this is what I was aiming at.
Dude, it's insane. I mean, just in the same way, it's like you don't know you don't know who you're impacting, like the smallest thing. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know how you don't know how what you're doing today will will impact your future. Like, dude, it's the same thing. Like you know, have some long days here. It's a tough day or something, and I'm just like in my own head. And I just look around, and there's a neon blinking Japanese sign, or I like read a letter in hiragana. I'm like, wow, I'm in Japan. Like this was, if you go back to those first probably 50 episodes, I was like, oh, one day I'll get to Japan, and thinking about freaking here. We're on episode 100. Like, time is just such a crazy thing, and just trying to appreciate every step of the way as much as freaking possible. Just cherish it. You don't know how things are gonna work out. You just can't tell how good it will be, how good it is. We're always looking for the next thing, but like I mean, it's been a constant theme of just trying to simplify and enjoy where we are right now.
Settle in, enjoy the moment.
Settle in, baby.
And I just want to say I am so grateful for you, Vinny, for doing this with me for 100 episodes. Halfway across the world, it has definitely defined our friendship and held us together. And I'm also so grateful for everyone who continues to listen to us chatting away about everything and nothing at the same time.
Exactly. The great conundrum. Love you, buddy. Can't, you know, can't believe how our journey has gone from those little college lads to grappling with life's great questions and truly pursuing what we find very meaningful. And so grateful, so grateful for listening, partner in crime here, for the opportunity to do this, just the freedom to not have a toothache. It's really special.
Life is good.
Life is good. It's December 1st. We're recording this. How's San Diego these days? I miss it.
Well, it's November 30th back here in the States.
Oh, wow. Yeah, in the future. That's
But
wild.
great. Things are great. Weather's nice. San Diego's beautiful. And what a journey this has been. I look forward to the future, but not too much. We're going to enjoy every step of the way.
Every step of the way. See you in 200. But if we can leave this beautiful crowd who's flicking in the lighters in the sky right now in one great wave, what can we leave them with? It's a lofty
Okay,
question.
you just gonna put that pressure on me.
What will you leave them with? Correct. Could be anything. I have a pretty fun one.
Go for it.
That's really just been the theme of my time. I'm just really sinking into treasuring nostalgia. Like, I'm finding so much joy in like thinking about video games that I loved when I was a kid, because like the culture here is just so kind of just this childlike atmosphere of like anime on the trains and Pokemons everywhere on the vending machines. And I love Pokemon as a kid. Like, I don't play video games anymore, but like just the memories of them are so good that like I'm just kind of getting back into that joyful childlike wonder and attitude of just loving those things I loved as a kid, like Dragon Ball Z and drawing and just having fun with life. Like, what does it feel like to be a kid who's just enamored by a video game? It's like what we're grappling with now, but you're thinking about the game and it's so much more important. Like, it completely consumes you in such a joyful way. And trying to get back to that, just thinking about like, wrote an article, this been working on it for like a couple weeks, but published it today. Submitted it. I'm just like, why I'm excited to have kids at some point, way down the line. But just being with these little little Japanese kids and my class stuff, like they're so cute. And it's just that the joy of that they have of just literally just flailing around the class, just bopping around, just jumping on cushions. And I just turn into a kid in there too. Like a lot of times the parents are watching, and it's kind of nerve-wracking at first. Like, parents, they're all just like staring at me. And I'm like, okay, either go by the books here, do what you're supposed to do, or just sink into that childlike joy. Just be one of them and truly just embrace that aspect of it. I think parents love that more. Like they just want really like this job, teaching English. It's just if the kids are having fun, it's not always easy. Like there's some dry material, but at least with these younger kid classes, like if they're having fun, I consider it a success. Like what they're little kids and they're like learning English. Like what, they don't want to be there, but enjoy the experience, have fun with it. And so this goes back to the article I was writing about, like what is maturing versus, retaining that childlike joy and wonder. Like just because somebody likes video games and it just has that wonder of a kid, does that mean they haven't matured? I don't think so. I'd say nay, Gregory. I'd say maturing is thinking about other people. That's really the essence of it. It's thinking about other people. An immature adult is somebody who only thinks about themselves. And kind of go on a rant here, but if I may read this quote,
Please.
yes. So Ryan Holiday is talking about it's on Modern Wisdom, and he's talking about Jack Kerouac, who is this writer from you know 20th century. He wrote On the Road. It's like the great American novel. He goes on the road and he's this bohemian lifestyle. Anyways, Ryan Holiday says there's a story about this writer. She's at this party. She has a young daughter. She's a poet. Jack Kerouac's there. It's one of those famous parties. She gets up to leave and says, I promised the babysitter I'd be home by 10. Kerouac says, if you don't forget about that babysitter, you'll never be a great writer. She gets up and leaves anyways and says, I knew in that moment that if I didn't keep that promise to the babysitter, I wouldn't be a great writer. Oh, she's got chills.
Mm, mm, yeah.
Yes. It's like Jack Kerouac never grew up, never matured. He's only thinking about himself. And that, I'm kind of just bringing several different themes together here, but that to me is the sign of immaturity. And this goes back to the initial point of what we're doing it for. I can't imagine that a career, success, anything, you know, metrics, whatever, can be as important as having a kid, raising a family, and just having people around you at your funeral who you love and you can enjoy life with. Having a kid is when you stop thinking about yourself. Like you become the bystander to somebody else's life, from what I could tell. Obviously, I have no idea, but I think that's what maturing is. Like having kids makes people mature pretty quick, or doesn't. And can't imagine a career that's as important as that. But anyways, what I'm tying it all together with is retaining that childlike joy, and that is coming back for me, treasuring things I loved as a kid, Pokemon games and just cartoons and just this, it's not really anything that I do anymore, but it's what I look upon. And I talk to the young students about it and like, oh, I used to play Pokemon back in my day, and some of the bond over, and it just makes life fun. So that was my final 2 cents. I think I'm
I love it.
retiring. I think we're retiring after that one.
That's a great 2 cents. And my 2 cents, my final 2 cents, because I have to have the last word here,
Please.
is actually 7 words that you said that I want to give to us, to the audience, as advice to live by. What if it was this simple? If the best way to go through life was to enjoy the experience and just have fun with it?
Mm,
That was 8 words because I added just. Damn it.
enjoy the experience. Have fun with it.
What if that was it?
Yes. What if
That's
that
the
is it?
meaning, the key to a great life. Enjoy the experience. Have fun with it.
Enjoy the experience. Have fun with it, man. We're having fun with it. And look, if you're having fun with it, ain't no telling what you could do.
All right. This has been a blast. This episode and the 100 episodes we've recorded together. I love you so much. I love the audience. I love everyone who has ever listened, texted us, Instagrammed us, let us know that we are making a positive difference in the world. And even if we weren't, we'd still be doing it.
It's just the beginning, buddy. This is just the beginning. And so grateful. So much fun. We're just having fun with it. We ain't gonna stop. Love you all. The next 100.